Good morning, children. Today we are going to continue with the lesson Nazism and the Rise of Hitler. And in today's class, we are going to discuss about the Nazi worldview. Nazi was an ideology which Hitler followed. Now, according to his ideology, there was no equality between people, but there was only racial hierarchy. Now, according to Hitler, only the blonde, blue eyed Nordic German Aryans were at the top of the ladder, while Jews were located in the lowest rung. And Jews were regarded as anti race, arch enemies of the Aryans. And then he placed all other colored people in between, that is, between the Germans and the Jews, depending upon their external features. Now, all this philosophy and ideology Hitler borrowed from the thinkers. Two thinkers are given there in the book, that is Charles Darwin and Herbert Spencer. Darwin was a natural scientist and he tried to explain the creation of plants and animals through the concept of evolution. Whereas when we see the Herbert Spencer, he added the idea of survival of the fittest. But we should bear in mind that Darwin never advocated human intervention in what he thought was purely a natural process of selection. So, the Nazi argument we can say was very simple. They believed that the strongest race would survive and the weak ones would perish. And according to them, the strongest race was the Aryan race, and it was the finest, and it had to retain its purity. It has to become stronger and dominate the world. Then another ideology of Hitler was the ideology of geopolitical concept of Lebensraum, that means living space. He believed that new territories had to be acquired for settlement, and this would help them to increase the area of their motherland. Now, Hitler intended to extend German boundaries by moving eastwards to concentrate all Germans geographically in one place, and Poland became the laboratory for this kind of experiment. When Hitler came to power, he quickly began to implement his dream of creating an exclusive racial community of pure Germans, and he started eliminating or removing all those whom he considered as undesirable. Now, he only wanted Nazi society that will be pure and healthy Nordic Aryans. And for all other undesirables, he started the euthanasia program on a very large scale. He had condemned to death many Germans who were considered as mentally or physically unfit. Now, Jews were not the only one who were classified as undesirable. The other groups included gypsies and blacks who were living in Nazi Germany. Even the Russians and the Poles were considered as subhuman. But out of all these undesirable people, Jews remained the worst sufferers in Nazi Germany. Now, why? The reason let us know. They hated Jews mainly because Jews had been stereotyped as killers of Christ and usurers. Until medieval times, Jews were barred from owning the land also, and these people they mainly survived through trade and money lending, and they were living in a separately marked areas which were called as ghettos, and they were often persecuted through periodic organized violence. They were expelled from the land, and from 1933 to 1938, the Nazi they terrorized and segregated the Jews and compelled them to leave the country. Then from 1939 to 45, they aimed at concentrating the Jews in certain areas and then eventually killing them in gas chambers in Poland. So, under the shadow of war, the Nazis they started realizing their murderous and racial ideas, and genocide and war became the two sides of the same coin. Occupied Poland was divided up, and much of the northwestern Poland was annexed by Germany. As a result, what happened? The Polish people, they were forced to leave their homes and properties, and these homes and properties were occupied by the ethnic Germans brought in from the occupied Europe. And the Polish people were then herded like cattle in other part, which was called as a general government, and it was a destination of all the undesirables of the empire. Now this general government also served as a killing field for the Jews.